And there you are.
Good morning, Nancy.
And good morning, hotel guys.
We are
Coming
here.
coming to us from Sri Lanka. And is that
Well,
a bandage on your ear?
it's the
Oh
wrong.
my God, you know how to work it.
It was the wrong ear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
The other
yeah, I was
ear.
gonna
Yeah.
tell him it's the wrong ear.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so no, we're not in Sri Lanka. We already have been there and done that.
Oh,
But
that's right.
talk about
But
Sri
you're
Lanka
gonna
today.
talk about, huh?
We're back in naked Bali, but we'll save that for later on.
Yeah. All
So
right. Well, I'm ready, willing, and able to hear all the stories.
so it's been a while. So we've had to refresh our memory because it was in May and April that we were in 2024. We were a second visit to Sri Lanka. And even though we're in Bali right now, we had to wait. We're in India in the in between time, but our Wi-Fi wasn't good enough until we got back here to this familiar background, because this is where we actually recorded our last podcast with you.
Exactly. So 2018 was when we first spent 1 month in Sri Lanka and fell in love with that country. I mean, it was a different season, so it took us to different regions and some repeats. We reconnected with our lovely friend Ayesh, and he's now an official tour guide, perhaps one of the youngest national certified tour guides. So anyone going to Sri Lanka, contact us, because he'll show you the sights and teach you a whole lot about his country.
Right. And we stayed in touch with Ayesh through COVID and since our 2018 visit. So it was like reconnecting with an old friend.
Oh,
And we have some pictures that, of course, we're going to share with you,
okay. So,
including his what he did for us we
when we arrived at
when we arrived.
at the airport,
Yeah.
we're often greeted by drivers. So here is little Ayesh. He's just like the best kind of human being. So we not only received the welcoming beads and a big bouquet of flowers. And if anybody knows Rich Matkins, the hotel guy and flowers, it's required. So heads up, drivers, meet us with flowers, please.
So we did spend a night in Colombo upon arrival, but the very next day we went to a beautiful 1 acre old coach house Airbnb where we were going to show you some pictures.
3 bedrooms.
And it was actually 4, wasn't it?
No, 3.
It was
1, 2, 3.
Oh yeah, I guess so. But it was a sprawling place, and this is some pictures that we're going to run through. You walk in, it's quite stately, and it was very reasonably priced on Airbnb. Beautiful entryway.
Once we got rid of the mothball
tell us,
smell.
what was the price?
It was just like I want to say it was $115 for
Wow.
there for
5 nights.
5 nights.
Yeah.
So this is the dining room, and the kitchen was huge. We cooked our own. We kind of, sometimes when we travel, we'll haul in food and cook for ourselves just to give us something, a change of pace.
And with Ayesh, he wanted to cook.
He wanted to do all the cooking. So
spoiler alert,
we did not.
Driver, tour guide, and chef.
We didn't have a problem with that.
Wow.
And it has this kind of traditional sort of in a courtyard, sort of with the rooms around it, looking out onto a rice paddy straight ahead. This is our bedroom.
Here's our stinky room, which seriously, mothballs. It had been closed up way too long. And once we got the smell out, it was like a perfect place.
And we were then ready to welcome our new friends, Claire and Ed. We met them the night that we stayed in the hotel in Colombo
at Spice Peak.
And we realized that we were going to be in Dambulla area together, which is north central Sri Lanka.
Right. We wanted to return to the cave temples. So we're heading that direction.
So we invited them, and they were, these Europeans, they arrive and they're like, yeah, we don't know where we're going to be tomorrow night. Our plan is we know where we're going to sleep in 6 months.
Right.
But they were coming up and we were like, well, why don't you meet us? We'll tour the caves together. And then why don't you be our guest in our third bedroom in our country house. So Ed and Claire stayed with us
Now,
that
before you
night.
move on, see the decoration to the,
Left,
in this
yeah.
picture. This is a traditional Buddhist holiday for the celebration of Buddha's
Birthday, yeah.
And so everyone in the country is making these, and Ayesh taught us how to create this celebratory piece. Here we are with our favorite puppy.
We adopted some of the dogs in the neighborhood, but here we are constructing the ceremonial piece they were all over the entire country for just a few days, and they're all handmade.
It's beautiful.
And Ayesh was showing us how to make them,
And
we
she's an elementary school teacher, so anybody
arts
who
and crafts.
works with kids. It's
So
like, oh,
Ayesh
cool.
cooked us dinner, and here we are at the dinner table making good use of all that space. It was really great having them as guests for one
So
night.
we celebrated Buddha's birthday that night with new friends, and they're delightful people.
Yeah, and more
How
dog.
fun.
We
Mhm.
really enjoyed sitting out on that porch and enjoying the rice paddies. And it was very close. It
Peacocks.
was very close to town. Here we are with the Buddhist, that's the traditional Buddhist flag behind us. We're actually traveling with that flag.
Yeah,
And
with a rainbow flag.
yes, and
That was fun.
here's Ayesh in all his glory. I think he is just amazing. We're actually going to be going back,
Yeah,
but
we are.
um,
More about
and
that.
there we are at the front door.
Saying farewell.
So yeah. And that was the farewell picture. So that was, so we didn't just go there to stay in a big sprawling house in the country. We were really making a beeline upon arrival back to the Dambulla caves,
Oh, we
which
fell in love with
are
this
these
place.
amazing, what is it, 3rd century BC?
All the way up to the 18th century BC, all natural colors,
So all these caves are hand carved out of a rock.
solid.
Wow.
They've
True
created
piece.
these enclosure spaces, and we've seen these kind of spots in India that were really jaw-dropping, and
Yeah.
the Dambulla really is at the top of the list.
Yeah.
There with the Ajanta and Ellora caves in
Ellora
India.
caves, yes.
But that's another story. In fact, we'll talk to you about India in our next
I'd go back and
podcast.
do that too.
So we have just this little 1-minute video to just show you one of the interior caves. There's about 4 or 5. This is
Mhm.
probably the most expansive and the most dramatic, and it is extraordinary. So now the cave has been carved out of the rock, but what you're seeing that the placements of the Buddhas, those have been dropped in.
Yeah.
The pedestals were carved out of the rock, but the Buddha,
Statues.
the statuary was brought in as separate units. They weren't carved out of the rock as well.
I mean, look at the coloring on this. This is natural plant dye.
And they told us there was some secret to why it has lasted so long that it had to do with the content of the mineral didn't have oxygen or did.
Oh, what do? They heat the water. They boil the water first.
Yeah.
With the pigment.
So
So it doesn't change color.
So there's Claire. So we continued to tour with them that day.
And there were how many of these? Like 3?
I want to say 4 or 5 little enclosure caves.
Yeah.
That we had seen these in 2018, but we really wanted to come back. It's so peaceful.
You can
and-
always buy flowers
Yeah.
outside these temples.
And so spiritual too.
And,
It's really beautiful.
Was it cold inside?
No, in
No.
fact, Sri Lanka is really hot.
This
It-
was, this was kind of a rainy, still the wet season when we arrived. I think day 4, the rain had kind of stopped. But
Yeah.
us as Oregonians, we love a good rain. So no, the
Right.
cave is definitely cooler than outside.
Yeah, and speaking of rain, it's a time of the year when certainly there are tourists there, but some of the main tourist areas, it's a bit more of the rainy season, especially in the south.
Mhm.
So we opted for our second stop after Dambulla and all that, was to go to the eastern shore, the eastern coast. And Ayesh had recommended, and I'm going to show you that.
Trincomalee
Yeah.
is the area on the east shore because it's dry. And again, it felt like, I think we arrived like maybe the 26th of May. And so tourism was like still really low on
Yes.
that time of year. Like July and August is like a full house at
Right.
this place. And this is a Airbnb
So
that
here's,
we found, 2-bedroom.
yeah, here's a few pictures. The beach, it's literally beachfront.
We moved
and
the furniture around
a
Nancy
little
because
bit.
we're the hotel guys.
It's a little too,
Yeah.
it's a little too angular. We needed a little more geometry.
A lot more.
So this is like, I think you said 2-bedroom. This
Yeah.
was, is this our bedroom?
That's our bedroom.
Yeah, so it has kind of a beachy white sort of washed out.
Yeah, I mean, it was really super comfortable, very quiet.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
wow, look at that.
yeah, nighttime. So there's a pool right on the edge of the.
That's our little
So
room
we're
at the
at the
bottom.
very bottom, which is sort of the lower rent district. And
Well, you know, what did we pay? It felt like maybe 60
I think
bucks
maybe
a
it was
night.
$65 a night
For
to
2
be
bedrooms.
oceanfront and
Wow.
and
Yeah.
this is the ocean. And let me tell you, I don't even really like the ocean. And this ocean was,
Oh
we,
my God.
we were in it 3 times we were
day.
in it 3 times a day.
We were at least. And, you know, we met a couple guys when we were in Java a few weeks earlier. And, you know, they're from Australia, right? So they have fabulous coasts. He said that beach in Nilaveli is the best beach that he's been to.
Seasonally, it's really great. It's
Oh,
north of
and it
Trincomalee,
is.
and you know,
Clean.
yeah, we loved it. So here's a few more pictures of the space. So
Super
Ayesh,
clean.
sorry that I cut off his face, but I wanted to show the food that he served. He did.
Wow.
Of course, he went into town and bought fresh seafood that night and
Yeah,
cooked us
look at
dinner.
that.
And there he is.
I mean,
And so this is traditional, you know, mom-inspired sort of cuisine.
which later we went to his mother's home.
Oh, I don't think I put a picture in here. I
I
wish I would
know.
have. Maybe it's in here at the end.
I think
forget.
it's at hotelguys.com on our
So,
travel blog.
so that was the beach itself, but on the way there, there's another
Yeah.
important place to stop called, it's a mouthful, Polonnaruwa. And Polonnaruwa is one of the first, you know, when Buddhism was spreading around the world, when it left India, it came to Sri Lanka first.
Mm.
And in the, was it 3rd century
Mhm.
BC?
Mhm.
In 3rd century BC, one of the first exports from the Sarnath and other areas
India.
you know, near the Ganga River in India, came to Polonnaruwa. And so this was the cradle of sort of Sinhalese, which is the dominant, one of the dominant Sri
Yeah.
Lankan cultural sort of impulses,
So this
is
particular,
is in Sinhalese and
Right.
is in Polonnaruwa. So here's a few pictures from the ruins from this time, and this stuff is
there were like
really
two
old.
rulers, 2 kings in this region that developed. This is like both. I mean, it's incredible.
Well, you can
These are
imagine
council halls. This is where,
roofs on these things too.
right, this is where, you know, the decision makers came together. This particular structure
Was
was the king's palace.
And it was a 7-story building?
7
Seven.
stories.
And
7
before,
stories.
so, and you know, because of the way the architecture was, the walls are really thick, like the walls are 2 or 3 feet thick in order to support the architecture of the moment.
And I can't remember how far out it extended in its day,
But this is
but
what's
it
left
was
of it.
massive.
And then there's these beautiful, here's a better overall
This is
view.
another location.
So ruins of Polonnaruwa on our way to the beach were just really a wonderful way to experience the culture before we just dipped in the water and stayed there.
It's, I mean, to go back twice is such a fantastic.
So this is a different area that I
Another
threw in
layer.
here. It's near this area. This is
Yeah.
also carved out of stone and
Solid, one big rock
you'll
all the way
notice
across that
kind of,
rock.
on the other side, on the far side of the rock facing is another carving that you can
A reclining Buddha.
focus your eye in on. It's really
Yes.
beautiful. There's a little bit of a
Yeah.
close-up cut off the head. And that's
Yeah.
back to that. So that
Yeah.
was our second stop. And that was the next cultural area that we went to was Anuradhapura. And Anuradhapura is the second of 3 locations where the
Hmm.
Sinhalese culture, and this was also from up to the 12th century
Yeah.
current era, before it moved to the 3rd location, which we're going to talk about a little bit. So here's just a few pictures, and these are the kind of things that you see on the road in Sri Lanka,
Yes,
just driving around. And not just stone elephants. We don't have any actually to show you, but they're actually just wild elephants on the side of the road. in some
Really?
areas
About
of
elephants.
the country. Yeah, and we're going to show you some live wild elephants.
So
but
yeah, this whole region we had visited again,
before,
and it was again at the top of our list to return. And because we were with Ayesh, we were able to just tap into a lot more information and to see more than we had seen previously when we stayed.
Sure.
Um,
but there are these beautiful enclosures that are so lovingly maintained.
yeah, this is a newer, updated, temple site
Yeah.
that we popped
Yeah,
into.
sometimes when you step into these things, there's like chanting going on, or they'll have some recording that sort of just elevates you to another state of consciousness,
Yeah.
really. And you'll notice if you look at this, that there's actually a paint job in process on this. This is called a stupa. Stupa is just a place historically where something's been buried. It might be a relic or it might be human remains, but mostly not. I think as the history went on, and these are just places of focus where people come
Could
and
you imagine being suspended and painting this? And they do it like
No.
every other year.
yeah, they keep
Every
these things
other, he said.
really fresh and lovely. And then some of them they don't paint.
Well, this one probably in its time had this covering, I
Well,
would guess.
and it also had a higher spire.
Yeah.
And it's worth noting, I'm remembering that these also, there's some Orion star constellation
Alignments.
alignments with the main stupas of Anuradhapura,
Yeah.
which tell you about how important the night sky was to these people ancient back then.
Yeah.
So
and
here, yeah, this is one of the oldest ones, and it's typical to walk around these in a clockwise motion.
I'm
So
remembering he told us it used to be much larger
yeah,
in
one of
its
these.
original day.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's right. This
Yeah.
was a way scaled down.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of these are built on like the foundations of previous versions of the stupa
Yeah.
that have been
Oh,
updated.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
updated over time. And then this was actually on a monastery in near there's sort of several little areas to go and see ruins. And this is a beautiful present day monastery, but there are these beautiful ruins.
This was
Uh,
the
s-
pool for the monks.
Yeah, so when they were first training, so Sri Lanka was like a stepping off place for a lot of Buddhism developing throughout Southeast
Yeah, it
Asia.
was like
And
Buddhist
so
school.
it was Buddha school.
Yeah.
So by the thousands, they were training
Up to
monks.
3,000 bunks. Monks were bunked.
Bunking.
3,000 at a
1,000.
time?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is
yes.
one
Wow.
of two bathing areas for the monks who are going to be going off to Cambodia, where one of the next impulses of Buddhism went, because there's a lot of similarity with some of what you might see in Siem Reap, Cambodia in the 12th century.
It was so hot that day,
And
Nancy. Oh my God.
Vietnam. It's every day that we were not in the water at the beach, it was hot.
Oh, damn.
So, and this was so cool to have that monk just right there in complete
And
bliss.
he would walk around that statue. It's one of the oldest statues of Buddha, and he would just in prayer wander
Yeah.
and circle.
Circumambulate around.
around.
It was really quite something. And
yeah.
there we are. You get an
Same.
idea. Some ruins in front of it. You can imagine it was like a walkway toward the stupa. And then, yeah, this
was a big
yeah,
city.
this is the only picture we have of it, but this happened to be a sunset ceremony at the one that we showed you earlier that was being painted. This is the other side of it. They were getting ready.
Yeah.
You can see at the very bottom of the white band, there's a band, a Buddha colored flag band that they ceremoniously wrap the stupa in.
This is when
And
my
then
phone died. I
They
was so
did, yeah,
disappointed.
we didn't get the pictures that we would normally, but it didn't matter because it was an incredible procession. Just like a few hundred people showed up and walked around the stupa for a couple of times at sunset.
I honestly think we were the only two travelers there for that ceremony, and a young woman spotted us and she brought each of us a water lily to offer
Yeah.
For our prayer
Yeah.
and offering.
This actually looks like the same stupa, but it's not. This is a small one. That other one was absolutely the biggest in
Yeah.
town. But this is a picture of it at night with the flag. It's just,
Yes. That whole area is
yeah,
lit
we
up
went for
beautifully
a nighttime,
night.
yeah, a nighttime
Okay, here's a great story. We met this kid. He was such a youngster then. Now he's a papa of a probably 5-year-old son.
6 years later.
But we stayed at this crazy place called Hotel White House. And Kellum was like one of the guys that worked there. And all of those people were just like, we just loved the place. It was quirky as our YouTube would show. All the rooms are different, very, very unique. Every bathroom has a chandelier. Anyway,
We have a little
we've been
video
in touch
about it.
with Kellum all
So he
these
popped
years.
by and said hello, and then we popped back
Yeah.
into the White House Hotel and had lunch. We were staying in an Airbnb literally around the corner.
Yeah,
But this is the manager on the right there remembered us.
yeah, he's
and
been following
and-
us on YouTube.
and so it was
Hello.
fun to just stop and
Meet
see.
new friends
stop and see
because,
the
you know,
people.
in the industry, a lot of people come and go,
Yeah.
especially during COVID.
Yeah,
Oh, gosh, yes.
And then, you know, not to mention that there was an overthrow of the government in 2022. So
Yes.
Sri Lanka is going through a huge change, and people, you know, are trying to still readapt, and
Yeah.
many people are in poverty. The government, you know, get this, they have not allowed new automobiles onto the island since 2018. So the car, yes, the car that we were in was a 2013. And not necessarily with great tires, but
No, I don't
They-
imagine.
yeah, I mean, it's been an austerity. They've incorporated a lot of austerity measures. I'm gonna say it to sort of prove to the international lenders that they can be responsible with their debt that they've taken on, some of which probably should just be forgiven.
yeah, it should be.
But that they're making good progress actually, and tourism has returned. But you may remember, some people may remember they had like gas shortage issues and there were some pretty
Big.
dire issues.
Medicines for short food.
So people
Yeah.
have a very welcoming attitude toward
Oh, they're happy.
visitors.
Yes, they're
And
happy to see us
and-
again. And as a matter of fact, I was just reading that it's now Sri Lanka is listed as one of the top
one of the hot spots.
hotspots for,
Yeah.
you know, the next year.
Really?
Well,
Yeah,
because there's a lot
yeah.
of things, a lot of people like, us that really are drawn to the Buddhist historicals and current culture. But a lot of people go there for the
Oh, the nature.
nature stuff,
It's very
including,
diverse, actually, and there's only 21 million.
yeah, including the elephants, which of
Oh.
course Sri Lanka, I forget exactly, literally, it's like elephant. So
There's like, what do we know? 7,000 elephants.
7,000 wild elephants on the island. And they're
7,000.
kind of
Whoa.
corralled, generally
Yeah.
corralled, but a lot of them they can be on the open roads in some parts of the country, not in like the cities and whatnot,
And you
but
have to be really careful as this new layer of information that we've learned.
oh yeah,
is
you
like,
don't mess around with wild elephants. We know that from just watching Tarzan. I remember that.
no. And
But we
we-
went to, so here we are
Tarzan.
at Minneriya. So this is Minneriya National Park, which actually is in the same neighborhood as Polonnaruwa
Yeah,
and not that far from Nilaveli at the coast, and actually not that far from Anuradhapura.
and
and
again, we were kind of lower season, so we
Oh, we were
had,
so here's a 1-minute video with our friend, the elephant, and maybe one or two.
yeah.
And this is just an open wetlands it's actually man-made, but it was like man-made in like the 17th century or the 12th or something. It's been around forever.
Well, the country in ancient times had this incredible network
Oh,
of
yeah.
water systems.
They're known for their hydrological kind of engineering in history. And they continue to easily take 2 or up to 3 rice crops a year, which usually in these climates is contingent only on the amount of water that you have access to.
So our vehicle, Nancy, was the only vehicle that pulled into this space, and we learned.
Really?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
had this whole park. You can see how expansive and gorgeous it
yeah.
is.
I mean, and there's more elephants in the background. I mean, it was like, holy moly.
And birds.
Yeah,
Lots of birds and lots of
and they're just
elephants.
feeding machines day and night. They are just endlessly eating.
So we're in an open, an open truck, standing up in an open truck
Jeep,
if you
yeah.
want, Jeep,
Yeah,
and just enjoying these bucolic sort of country
I'm going
scenes.
back to see them again.
You time it to go late afternoon and you get,
Oh,
you get,
the energy there.
they
You know,
come out to feed at a certain late afternoon
we
hour.
proceeded to, a few more spots along this water, and I think we may have encountered one or two other Jeeps, but we see up ahead of us a male, and I don't know, I think he's thought maybe he was 12 years old,
Yeah.
and males stay away from the females. That's just what they divide.
Oh,
And
really?
so the men had their little area.
And
Okay,
then
there
the
were three of
women
them.
and the smaller baby.
It's easier. It's
Right.
just easier.
I think we would all agree.
I
It
know,
doesn't
we
like
were
It's the equivalent of they're at the corner pub,
grazing endlessly. So
Yeah.
we're like, okay, we shot our pictures, we're ready to move. And the driver starts to go on the road, and suddenly the elephant is looking at us like, there's no
No,
way
you're not-
you are
You're not
going this
going
way."
anywhere.
And he just stood us off and then
Ooh.
started moving our way. And it was like, driver just quickly backed us up, and we rerouted.
When we were there, I remember maybe I think Ayesh said that it was the week before, there was a little meme video that was going around
Yes.
about a elephant that rammed a safari Jeep and
Tipped it.
knocked it into next week and
Yeah.
ran it over.
Really?
Knocked it over on its side or something.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
Yikes.
apparently nobody was hurt in there, but there were people in the Jeep that
Yeah.
did it. So we didn't have anything to share with you
They,
like that.
you
but-
hear of crazy touristy things that happen, like in Yellowstone Park and
Yellowstone.
other
Yeah.
wildlife places where people are literally stupid, jumping out and like trying to talk to a buffalo or, a bear. I mean, so there's a lot of respect with these elephants, and they are really considered kind of a nuisance because they'll get into crops. They're not contained in these parks. Like Paul said, you'll see them walking down the highway, and we pulled into an obscure temple and very few people went in there. And Ayesh was like, Rich, don't get out.
Well, there's military on guard at some of these more remote spots that we were at in the Northeast.
Once Ayesh saw that the man had a gun,
Yeah.
then he said, it's okay for you to go out.
So he
This
kind of
is like midday, like 1 o'clock.
yeah, but the soldier kind of like walked out as we went to the stupa
Yeah.
and stayed with us.
And he said every day
just
they
for
come
safety.
in.
Yeah, so it's kind of nice that they haven't like eradicated them or, or that they
Thank
have
goodness.
put them all in
They just see them as kind of like we see
so
rats.
so
as
what draws
making
people
a
so
mess.
what draws people to Sri Lanka is the natural sort of elephant stuff, and there's a lot of hiking as well.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
there's really great like middle-sized cities with interesting cultural places, which brings us to the next place that we want to tell you about.
Any questions, Nancy?
Which is our last place.
Yeah. Would you say that the elephants in Sri Lanka are like the cows are in India?
Oh,
They just get to wander wherever they want to wander?
kind of, because you can't really herd the elephants away. I mean, you can probably fire shots. The
Well-
cows are too sacred.
Well,
They'll just kind of
the
like,
cows are more
move.
prolific. If anybody listening or watching is following us on Instagram, Rich posted a picture of me waiting for a dinner reservation at a hotel standing
no
next
restaurant.
a dinner
Yeah.
restaurant with a cow next to me, like at the door, like hoping that maybe he could get a slice of pizza off the table.
Well,
right
it
there.
was, yes, it's like a table for 3. We'd like to see the vegetarian menu, please, was what I posted on our Instagram site.
So there's actually more cows in India than there are elephants in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Actually,
And
far
there's a
more.
lot of cow poop.
More people and more cows.
Well, yeah. And imagine if you think cow poop is bad, what is elephant poop like?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Yikes.
they're not walking down the streets like in India quite as frequent,
Okay.
let's just say.
So
But I find it fascinating that those animals are so enormous and they eat grass.
yeah, yeah.
how do you maintain that enormity by eating
Right,
grass?
right,
I know,
right.
I know.
So our last stop that we're going to talk to you about is the
Oh.
town of Kandy, which is sort of like, I'll call it South Central, and Colombo and Negumbo and that sort of mini metropolis is on the west side coast of Sri Lanka, and the beach at Nilaveli that we told you about is the east, and Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa, and Dambulla are all north central, and Kandy is south central. And
Kandy is
there's
kind of high elevation surrounded by mountains.
and we stayed at a beautiful,
Gorgeous.
yeah, it's known for, it's the
Gorgeous.
third of the three historical cultural sort of centers of Sri Lanka. And we stayed in this beautiful Airbnb. We're going to show you a few pictures.
Super modern, American owner. He's Sri
We
Lankan.
actually are going to go back here for 2 weeks.
We've-
in
Oh,
We've
wow.
booked it. Yes, I know. 2 bedrooms. The price was, I
Beautiful.
don't know, $60 a night.
That is just mind-boggling.
I know. I mean, what do you
$60.
pay at the Oregon coast now to,
600.
About 300.
Yeah, 300 easy.
isn't that something?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yes.
this place we're already, dialed in for like February
So
11th.
we didn't just go there for the Airbnb. We went to see the Tooth Relic, and the Tooth Relic is the sacred relic, Buddhist relic of the country. And it's under the sort of the, I don't know, it's under the guidance, its preservation is under the guidance, the
Of the
sort of
monk
of the monks and the government.
and the
And so
government.
together, this old building here is the original one. Now it's been in other parts of the country, and but when the capital moves to Kandy, it's because the Tooth Relic was moved there, and this is the building that it was housed in, although
So we
here's a few
arrived,
additional pictures.
we arrived on like a Sunday and there were just like a ton of people
Oh,
bringing
my gosh.
flowers
Look at that.
and offerings of food. This is like the museum, the Buddha Museum
I love
adjacent.
you notice the golden elephants across
It
the,
is well
top.
done. I
Oh,
love
my
that
gosh,
place.
it's
Yeah.
magnificent.
Here we
Yeah.
are outside
At
the Kandy Lake, just
yeah.
outside of the Tooth Relic. That place.
So I put this in here to
This was
remind
our
myself
first visit
that the
there.
Tooth Relic was brought. So this is actually a relic, i.e. a piece of Buddha's tooth that was brought to Sri Lanka from India in 371,
Yeah,
smuggled in by the prince and princess.
yeah.
And another really crazy thing, of course, we never want to focus on stuff like this, but there's actually an attack at the Temple of the Tooth Relic in 1998 that blew up a
The-
large chunk of,
The
let me get
front
back.
of that temple.
Yeah, it blew up this. This is actually, this front facade had to be rebuilt. And now there are multiple structures around it. We had to go through 2 sets of security to
Yeah,
get
security's
inside.
present
And
for
this
sure.
was a Tamil Tiger terrorist attack,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
who at the time their alignment was with Osama bin Laden. And but a portion of the backside of it is
This is the back.
is
This is
the
the
original.
Yeah,
So, but I thought it was just interesting to throw in there about
a little bit
the
of that.
terrorist attack there
Yeah.
at the Tooth Relic in 98. That was,
There's a lot of history.
yeah. So that is kind of like our Sri Lanka hoopla
In like 30 days.
in 30 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, 30 days and 30 minutes. You did a wonderful job, but oh my gosh, what a beautiful, beautiful
Yeah.
country this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The buildings, the artifacts, the beaches. I mean, wow, it really
Right.
has everything.
And you know,
Yeah.
what everybody will, usually the word Sri Lanka and the word Yala are not, the word Yala is not far behind, because there's this national park in the south,
Mhm.
southeast,
We'll be going.
that is Yala National Park, which many people make a beeline for. We didn't
Yeah.
visit it this time because it was a little more rainy, seasonally more rainy the month that we were there in the south,
Right.
but also on the southwestern corner of the pearl of the island is a town called Galle, Galle.
There's a fort
And it's
there.
who was it? Was it the British, or was it the Portuguese
Portuguese.
originally and then the British? Because of course the British had Sri Lanka for a long time,
Yeah.
but I think the Portuguese originally settled into the port city of Gaul. So there's a lot of history down there, and we've stayed on the southern coast before, and it's bliss because
Yeah.
when you're on the southern coast, you can look to one side and see the sunrise and look to the other side and see the sunset.
So this is another
And-
reason why we've decided to head back there. You know, budget wise, we feel like, yeah, we're not breaking the bank versus Europe.
Right.
And so the weather in the south and in the west, like Paul was saying, is totally different. It's the dry season in December, January, February, March when we were there.
Yeah.
So yes, I hate to say it, but it's probably one of my favorite places. The people are delightful. They're all beautiful people.
Yeah, it's a really
Just-
welcoming. They're interested in to see you, and they're happy that you're there.
Yes.
And we don't say
yes.
that just about every place that we
No.
go. Usually we have that experience, but they really are. They go out of their way to really make you feel welcome.
And you
and-
know, as nomads without a home,
Yes.
it's like, okay, we're starting to figure this out. It's like, well, we have to live somewhere. We don't have to like go as like madmen doing all the touristy things
Yeah.
immediately. Like most people have like up to 2 weeks and then they're back at work, right?
Right.
So we're learning to just find these spots. We're already talking about like the end of May when it's the dry season on the east shore again in Sri Lanka. It's like, why not go back there at $60 a night and enjoy the cleanest beach? You know, what's the rush?
Yeah, we're planning to stay in Southeast Asia until maybe June next year. So like we'll be here for another year,
Yeah.
and we're just kind of ping-ponging around, and
Yeah.
we'll talk to you.
Sounds awful. Just sounds
It is.
terrible.
I know.
Well, we're
People
gonna
hate us. You
we're
can now
gonna-
turn us off.
we're gonna tell you about India,
It's-
our 1 month in southern India
Next
when
time.
we talk to you next time.
Yeah. So
So-
Well, we will all be waiting with bated breath, as the saying goes.
yes.
Yeah. Well, this has been really terrific. Your pictures are wonderful and they add so much to your stories.
Yeah,
Oh,
and there's a lot more too, our website at hotelguys.com if people are
Right.
interested.
yeah.
You can get the names. We even have links to some of the Airbnbs if that is of interest. And
Yeah.
and
Well, I can't imagine it wouldn't be at those
well, it's a
prices.
starting
I would
point. I
think-
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, if other travelers that are planning are like me, I sometimes lean on resources like this, and we're very happy to just make this available commercial free. There's no what do you call them, links?
No
There's-
perks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're not getting any kickbacks.
No, we don't care.
No,
about
we
that.
don't. Although
get-
when we were in India in Chennai on our last night, they loved us and upgraded us, but we'll tell you more about that on the next
Yeah,
podcast.
That was our 5 stars.
I
Yeah.
can't imagine that you wouldn't be upgraded wherever you go.
Oh, life is an upgrade no matter where we are.
It is now.
Oh, that's a good
Okay,
way to
so
end
we'll
the
just say-
program.
I like that. Wow. I write my own material, Nancy.
Well, you're good at it. Yeah, keep
Well,
it
and
up.
I'll make sure he gets the bandage right next time on,
Yeah.
on the proper ear.
That is hilarious that you would make that.
I know
work.
it was so funny because I thought, oh, Rich is just being a goofball and putting a bandage on his ear, but he put
Oh.
it on the wrong side.
Yes. of course.
Oh, these flowers are fabulous.
I know.
So
Aren't
thank
For
they
you,
so-
Nancy.
Yeah,
Thank you
so
for
much.
Love you guys.
Okay.
love you too. And
See-
shine bright, sister.
Oh, you bet. That's the only way to shine.
Right on.
See you next
All
time.
right. You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.